Good evening, everyone. We are starting class right now. So, welcome you all in this day four. So, let's get started. So, in the previous session, we have discussed about some code over there in the Tinkercad, and we made some project over there in the Tinkercad. Now, we are going to move ahead with the project. So we used in the previous session that is PIR sensor, and based on that we write some code over there, and we have used relay over there. So we have used relay over there in the previous session. Okay, so Tinkercad classroom link that I'm just sharing with you in the chat box that you can check it out. So classes. So this one is class and class code that I'm just sharing with you. So you can find in the chat box the link that I shared with you. In the link in the last, there is a class code. So this one is the class code that you can see it. You can take a photo of this one. And I shared same with this chat box also. Okay, so coming back to the Tinkercad. So now we are going to talk about some programming concept over there that we are going to use it over here. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So in the previous session, we have discussed about one project that was relay, how we can connect the relay, and based on that, how we can make a project. So now we are going to talk about some more project. With the help of that, we can write code also. We can write code in a C++ also. So how we have to write code in a C++? So that we are going to discuss over here. So let's come to this PPT. So basic we have discussed about it. So we have discussed about the microcontroller. So the Arduino Uno microcontroller development board that we are using it over here. So these are the detail about the microcontroller. So in the microcontroller, we are going to find all these things are integrated. So these are integrated over there in the microcontroller that you can see it. Now the Arduino board, that when we talk about the history, so in the Arduino board, it's integration of microcontroller and some input output pin. So you can get power circuit like 5-volt ground. You can get programming interface. You can program using that USB cable, and you can use basic input and output buttons and all that. That is available in the Arduino board like this. So there is one button of reset. These are the input output pins. These are power pins. And you can program in this Arduino using C++, Java programming, graphical programming that we have done earlier. That also you can do in this Arduino board. So this one is Arduino. Yes, this one is the beauty of this Arduino board, that you can make your customized board also. Customize mean you no need to use complete board when we are going to make your project. So you can use directly this small board, and over there you can mount this IC. This one is Arduino IC that you can see it over here, this IC. You can program this IC using Arduino board. You can remove this IC and you can deploy that IC in your project directly, so that you can save your project cost. So Arduino cost is approximate when we are going to purchase Arduino, that carry cost of approximate 500 rupees. But when you are going to purchase this IC only, that cost is approximate 150 rupees. So within 200 rupees, what you can do, you can make your project using this board, this Arduino IC. And you require some basic component with that IC. You can make small PCB and you can make your customized board with your own application that you can do it over there. So now that you can make with your own Arduino board, this one is Arduino Uno board. So this one is a microcontroller, and these are some crystal. Then these are IC for programming, and these are the digital pin 0 to 13, and these are analog pin A0 to A5. So analog pin means whenever we have to read any kind of analog sensor, we can use analog pin. And these are the power. Power mean you can power this board using these pins, and you can get output power also like 5 volt, 3 volt ground, that you can get it from this Arduino board. You can give power using battery using this connector also. And this one is for programming using USB. This one is reset button. So that is about Arduino Uno development board. So over there are some pins. Those are known as the PWM pins. When we talk about the PWM pin, PWM stand for pulse width modulations. So whenever we have to give analog output mean if we want to control motor speed, if we want to control like light intensity, so those signal are known as analog output signal. So those analog output signal, we have to write it from the microcontroller using the technique that is known as a PWM, pulse width modulation technique. The technique is being used over there. That is the more detailed picture of Arduino Uno development board. So whenever we have to program this Arduino board, so two things are important. One is the hardware, second is programming environment like software, and third one is a community. Mean there is many open source projects, those are available. If you don't know too much programming, then also you can program this board. So that is about this board. Now over there you can see this one is the programming that you can do it in this board. So how you can program this board over there, that you can see it. Okay. So now over there, whenever we have to program it, this board, so you can write code in a C++. This one is the programming that is being used. That is a C++ programming that is required to write code in this language. We can program in graphical programming also, that we have done in the Tinkercad. From that also you can generate that C++ code easily. That also you can do it. So these are some terminologies. These are some key words that we are going to use it while doing program. So sketch mean the code that we are going to write in the Arduino board. Pin mean input output pin, like over there we are going to connect sensor, we are going to connect actuator, input output, those are the pins. Digital mean we are going to write signal either high or low, like we want to turn on the LED and we want to make turn off the LED, that is the high and low signal. Analog mean we are going to read signal like temperature sensor value, we are reading it. So that is analog read. And when we have to give an output signal in the format of analog, so that is like LED brightness, motor speed control, those are analog output signal. That is the analog that we have discussed previously also. So this one is a programming structure, how we have to write code in the Arduino. So whenever we are going to write code over there, so we have to write in this format, pin mode, M should be the capital, and this one is a syntax. Syntax means in the same way we have to write it. If we are going to do any mistake while writing the syntax, so there will be a error, programming error over there in the code. So this one is pin M mode, mean we have to define pin, which pin we are using it in the Arduino. Like we are using pin number 13, so we have to define it that this one pin is for input or output. Because in the previous class we have used digital pin as a input pin. We were reading that PIR sensor from the in the Arduino. So using digital pin, that is digital input. So whatever mode we are using, like pin for input, for output, So if we are going to turn on any relay or something like that, that is the output signal. So whenever we have to read any kind of input and output, so we have to define it in the Arduino that which pin we are using it, that is input or output. In the graphical coding, we are not doing it, but when we are writing code in a C++, then we have to define that one. So how we can define that? You can use this syntax: pin mode, pin number, and mode mean output or input and output. Then this one is a read. If we want to read any digital pin, we are going to use digital read. And this one is the pin number, high and low. This one is the status, we are going to read it. 0 or 1. Like earlier, we were reading PIR sensor value, that is 0 and 1 in the serial monitor. So in the same way, we are going to read it either high or low, or 0 or 1. This one is digital write. If we want to give any output signal that is high and low, so that we can give it using digital write. So pin number and the value. Pin number, like earlier we have write code for 30 number pin high, 12 number pin high and low for the LED. This one is the same syntax in a C++, we have to write it. Pin number and the value. So that can be high and low pin value over here. So now the delay, whenever we are going to use delay in the Arduino code in a C++, so the delay we have to write it in a millisecond over there. And whenever we are going to use delay in the Tinkercad, over there directly we can use in a second, that we can use it over there in the Tinkercad. So that is about the delay, that we can use it in a microsecond or simple millisecond. So when we are writing code and we are writing delay or some value, the value we are writing over here, that in a millisecond. So this one is simple circuit, like earlier we have done for the LED. So how to write code for LED on off? So this one is a code over here, digital write, LED pin, LED, which pin we are using it, like 13, 12, 11, that is high. Then delay in a microsecond. So it will wait for 1500 millisecond, sorry. Then digital write, LED pin, that is low, then the delay. The code we have written in a graphical also earlier, that is the same code. So these are few more component over there that we can use it with the Arduino, like push button, trim, potentiometer. Later on, we are going to use like relay. We have used temperature sensor, flux sensor, RGB LED, and all that. And their type, these are digital input or output that you can see from the component. Like push button is a digital input. This one is analog input. Analog input. This one is digital output. Earlier we have used now that relay. We have given output signal. Analog input, analog input, analog input, like this. Like these are some more components over there. Sensors. Yes. So we have discussed earlier about that Ohm's law, that how it will work. Now directly we are coming to the Arduino programming. So this one is a Arduino software. So today we are going to introduce Arduino software. Over there we are going to program in the C++ language. So how it will work, how it will look. So this one is a Arduino software. Over there you are going to find the syntax. First of all, this one is a file edit sketch toolbar that you can see it over here. And this one, these are some more icon for controlling this code. And this one is the program syntax we have to write it. That is the sketch. So over there you can write in the void setup and void loop. Two are the function that is required. These are the minimum function that is required in the Arduino for writing the code. One is void setup and second is void loop. So that we are going to use it. So now this one is the option over there. Over there you are going to find error. If there is any error, that we can find it over here in the below error message option over there. Like if you did some mistake while writing the code, that you can see it over here. So whenever we are writing code, so two function is required. One is void setup and one is void loop. So in the void setup, we have to define pin mode, like that pin is input or output. And in void loop, we have to write our own condition that we want to make that pin high or low in the coding. So these are the number of line of the code that you can find it over here. Number of line, how much memory is being used, board we are using it over here. So when we are going to write first program, how we can write it over here. So over there you can see button bar, menu bar, and this one is the code. This one is the status bar. The code status, that code is uploaded or code is compiling. And this one is the program notification area or error. If there is any error, that we can find it over here in the Arduino. So you can see this one is a code of LED blink on 30 number pin. So over there we have used pin mode 30 number pin as a output in the setup. And then we are going to write code digital write 30 number high, then delay digital write 30 number low, and this one will repeat infinite time. This one will repeat only once in the setup. Whatever code we are writing it, that will be executed only once, and in the void loop this one will repeat for infinite time. So whenever we have to upload the code first time, what we have to do, we have to go to the tool and we have to select the COM port and we have to select board also. Board mean Arduino, there are plenty of boards are available in the market. So we have to select the Arduino Uno board from the tool, and then we have to select serial port. Over there Arduino is connected with the computer. That we are going to do later on, that how we have to upload the code like this. So these are some troubleshooting that I will let you know later on. Now I'm coming to programming over there. Little bit about programming. So we are going to use different coding over there, different condition over there. So this code, whatever code we are writing in the Arduino, that is a case sensitive. A case sensitive mean when we are going to write the syntax, that should be the same that we have to write it. Like pin mode, M should be the capital, that should be the capital. And after every statement, we have to use semicolon at the end. In the end of that statement, we have to use semicolon. Otherwise, that condition will be not executed over there. Then after that, these are the comment. Whenever we have to write any comment of any program line, you can use these colons for comment one line. If you want to comment any one line, you can use the double slash like this. Or if you want to start the comment and want to end after some line, you want to comment many lines, so you can use this one. You can start your comment from this one and you can end with this one. And you are going to find void loop and void setup in your code. Now let's see how it will work. So there is two concepts that we have discussed yet. So one is input and one is output. So the output we are giving to the LED, and input we were taking earlier, that is from the sensor, like PIR sensor we are using or any other sensor we are using it. From the sensor we are taking input in the Arduino, and output we are giving from Arduino to any LED or any motor. So just take an example of human being. If we are listening something, just suppose we are having a brain is similar to the Arduino. Similar mean we are comparing our human being with the Arduino board. Arduino is working as a brain, and whatever input signal we are giving from our sense, those are input signal, and whatever output we are giving from our hand or our mouth, that is the output. So if we are listening something, that is we are giving some signal to the Arduino from the ears. Ears are working as a sensor. And if we are speaking something, that is the output we are giving from our mouth. So we are giving output from the Arduino. In the same way, Arduino will work. I'm comparing with the human being, the Arduino board, so that you can understand how the Arduino is working. So we are having different sensors in our body, like touch sensor and smell sensor, and hearing, we can hear something, and we are having eyes for sensing any picture and something like that. So in the same way, in the Arduino also there is multiple sensor for the input, and we can give some sensor output, means some output signal we can give it from the Arduino using motor, using LED, using buzzer and all that. Those are input and output. So you can see some example over here for the input signal, like buttons, switches, light sensor, flux sensor, temperature sensor, humidity sensor. Outputs are LEDs, motor, servo motor, buzzer, and RGB LED. Those are output over there. So there is one more option over there in the output. One is analog output and that is digital output. Output is also two type and input is also two type. In input also we can use analog signal and we can use digital signal. In the output also we can use analog output and digital output. What is the meaning and what is the difference that we are going to discuss? So first of all, we are going to talk about digital device. So we are when we talk about the digital signal, that is on and off. Either we can read the status of any machine on and off. Just take an example of light bulb at your home. You are having light bulb or light tube. So that is on or off. Their status, if we want to read, that is a digital signal. Either that is on or otherwise that is off. That on and off status we can read it from using Arduino. So that is digital input. If we want to make that home light, home bulb on and off, so that we can do it using this like on and off command. We can write code over there in the Arduino high and low, and we can make that on and off like earlier we have done for LED on and off. So there is two signal in the digital. One is the digital input and one is digital output. If you want to read the status of that appliance or any machines, that is on and off, so that we are going to read it digital. And if we want to read any sensor value, that sensor is high or low, so that also we can read it using digital input. In the same way, analog also two type. One is analog sensor value, we are reading it. Just suppose we are having a temperature sensor in the room, so we can read temperature sensor from the room. And if we are having a lux sensor or light intensity measurement sensor, so we can read that value in the Arduino. That signal is a analog signal. And if you want to control a fan speed, if you are having a ceiling fan at your home, and if you want to control that speed, so for that you have to write code from the Arduino. That is analog output. So that is known as a analog output. In the same way, if you want to control light intensity, so that is also analog output. So you can use analog input and analog output for different applications. So how to write the code, that we are going to discuss over here in the coding. So these are the different Arduino boards. Those are available in the market. Based on your requirement, you can select any board and you can use that board. So like you can see over here, this one is a small Arduino, smaller size. And this one is Arduino Uno board. This one is Arduino LilyPad. This one is similar to LilyPad. This one is Arduino Pro Mini. Arduino very smaller one, 1885 board. And this one is Arduino Duo, that is the advanced one board. This one is Arduino Uno board. So these are the different boards, those are available in the market. So these are the coding concepts, 6 coding concept you have to just understand to write code in the Arduino. If you want to understand coding in the Arduino, you have to understand only 6 steps. What are these 6 steps? One is digital write. This one is a syntax we have to write for any signal we want to give output, that is digital output. This one is analog output, analog write. This one is digital read. Any signal you want to read it in the digital format, you can write code in the syntax. That should be the same. R should be the capital, W should be the capital, W should be the capital. If statement and Boolean. If statement and Boolean. If mean if conditions. And some Boolean operator we can use it over here. This one is for analog read. Like we are going to use digital read. In the same way we can read analog signal. Like potentiometer we are having, any slider we are having, their value we want to read it, so that we can read it over here. This one is for serial communication. Serial communication mean we want to print that value on the serial monitor, like earlier we have done. We were reading that PIR sensor value and we were printing on the serial monitor. This one is known as serial communications. So for that we have to write one line in the setup and one line in the loop. So this one is simple Blink project, like how that will work. So okay, so that we can write simple code like earlier we have written. So now we are going to talk about some more programming syntax like structure, void, data type, integer, unsigned int, long, and like that. So this we are going to discuss over there. So before that, I'm just going to let you know how we can write code in a C++. So basic introduction I'm going to give you in the Tinkercad so that you can familiar about it. Okay, so I'm starting over here some simple basic code. So I'm just taking Arduino board. When we are taking Arduino board, by default, you are going to get this code, graphical code. Yes, now you can see over here. So this one is by default code for LED on off. I'm going to delete it completely. And this one also you can delete. So now you can go to the block and text. So there is no code, but by default there is a void setup and void loop that is required. That is the minimum thing that is required to write in the code. So how we can write it over here? Like when we are going to use control, so you can use over here forever loop directly. So then go to the output and we were taking this block. Yes, we are going to put this one. What is happening? Pin mode is being defined. That is output and digital write pin number high. So which pin? Any pin you can select it. So that pin is get selected over there like this. So in that way, you can write code over there in the graphical coding to text code that will be generated. Now what you can do, like if you are going to delete this one and you are going to write code only in the text. So you can go to the last and you can shift it to the text mode. From the text mode, you cannot come back in the graphical code. So that is important point that we have to take care. So over there, if we want to write code for 13 number pin high and low, how we can write it? So go to the code. Let me zoom in. So first of all, what we are going to write it over here, we are going to use pin mode. Pin mode should be in a small. Pin M should be the capital pin mode. You can see it now, pin mode. So you can increase text size also, small, medium, and large also you can do it. Yes. So first of all, we are using pin mode and we have to use bracket and the pin number. Which pin over there you are going to connect LED. Let me connect the LED first. So I'm just going to connect this LED. Ground and you can select any pin. 11 number pin. Code. So you can use pin mode. You can write code and select the pin 11 number pin. That is output. First, you have to define input and output. Output should be written in a capital like this. And you have to end that line using semicolon. Then after that, over here we have to write our own condition that LED should be high or low. So we are going to use over here digital write. Digital W should be the capital write. And then we are going to use a pin number. So the pin number we are using it over here, 11 number pin, that is high or low, that we have to define it. So we are going to make it first high. High should be in a capital. This one is a syntax that we have to use it. So we are going to write W small, then there will be error. Let me show you W small and start simulation. So it will show error over there. It is saying that there is a error. So W should be capital over there. W is capital now, then it will work fine. There is no error. So LED is always on, but we want to make it off now. So after this delay, you can write digital write and then pin number Pin number we are using it same 11 number pin, that is low. And after that we have to use another delay. So this delay we are going to increase it in a millisecond. So 1000 millisecond that we are using it over here. So then after that we are going to use one more delay over here. You can copy this delay also. Right click and copy, and you can paste it over here so that you can save your time. So this one is code for 11 number pin high and low, and LED will start blinking. So in this way, there is some mistake over there. So that we have to find it. What is the mistake? So it seems that error semicolon before the delay. So yes, we have not used semicolon over there. So that is written over there. So we have to use semicolon also over there. So this one is semicolon that we have used. Now there is no error. So now it will work fine. So now this one is simple code for one LED. In the same way, you can write code for two LED like earlier we have done. So in the graphical coding is a good for the beginner. When we are going to talk about the advanced projects making and all that, you should know the detailed coding in a C++. So this one, these are the syntax that we are using it for simple LED on off. Simple code we have written it over there. Now we are talking about the detail about the coding. So for that we are going to use over here this coding syntax. Yes. So first of all, we are talking about the concept, or like this concept we were using over here, digital write, and then we were using over there one pin mode that also we have used over there in the code. So now we are talking about the structure programming C++ language structure that we are going to discuss over here, that how C++ is working. So over there, when we talk about void setup and void loop, what is that? That is a function. In that function, if the void is written over here, that is called as a structure. So Arduino program can be divided in three main parts. One is structure, then value, then function. So software structure consists of two main functions. So in the software structure, there is a two main function. One is void setup and one is void loop. These are the function and those are called structure. So what is the meaning of void that we are using in the program? So when we are using void, void mean whatever inside the function that will not give return or something like that. So void keyword is used only in a function declarations. It indicates that the function is expected to return no information, no value. Like when we talk about any function, so that function will return some value. But when we are going to use void with that function, that will not return any value is the output. So this function is empty over there that you can see it. That is called void function. That example, you can see void loop, rest of the code over here, and there nothing is being get written back in the function. So the data type, now we are going to talk about the data type. Later on, we are going to use those data type. So when we talk about the C programming over there, also same data type, we are going to use it. So whenever we are going to take any variable, so that a variable we have to define to the program that what type of data we are going to store in that variable. So that is known as a data type. In another example, like when we talk about this data type. So over there are different type of data type like void, long, boolean, unsigned long, character, sort, unsigned character, float, byte, double, integer, array, unsigned integer. So just suppose you are having a 1 cup, and over there you want to fill 1 liter water. So in the cup, the capacity of the cup is 250 ml. But if you are going to store 1 liter water over there, or you want to pour 1 liter water over there in a cup, that is not feasible. So what going to happen when we are going to pour the water from the 1 liter bottle to your 250 ml cup? What going to happen? till 250 ml the water is being get poured, and after 250 ml is being get crossed, water will be start overflowing over there. If that is happening, mean you have not selected proper utensil for filling the water. So you required 1 liter can to fill that particular water over there. That is 1 liter. So what we have to do over there when we talk about the data type. So if we are going to use float, in the float you can store a value in a point that I will discuss over here also in detail. First of all, integer. In the integer, how much value you can store it, so that we have to define it over there in the variable. Any variable we are taking it, we will do it practically also, no need to worry over there. So the int is a type of data, and whenever we are storing any value over there, we can store value in 16-bit 2 byte value. 16-bit mean this much number you can store it, 32,768 positive and 32,767 negative value. Positive and negative both value you can store it over there in the data type, negative to positive. So you can see like counter, any variable I have taken, that is counter, that is we want to store value over there 32. So that is a integer type. So in integer we have to define it, and we can store value over there in that counter. Counter is a variable. Any name you can give it over here, but this one is constant, that is data type. That how, which type of data you are going to store it. So over there in the variable, so we are going to use int to initialize the value of counter, that is 32. So like if you want to write over there, the value we are writing it over here, just suppose I'm just giving you one example. Suppose you want to use our value, that is 1 lakh and 1,001 lakh. This one value you want to use it over here in the counter. So this integer can store only value, that is 32,000. When we are going to store 1 lakh over here in this counter, it will not store. That is the important point. For that, we have to use different data type. So that's why we have to understand what is the meaning of that data type, how much value we can store it. If we want to store value over here, like temperature value. So we are taking one variable, that is temperature. T we are taking it, and we want to store value over there, that is 22.2. 22.2 value. So that cannot be stored in integer, because that value in a float. Float means points. So one value is coming in the float points. So we have to take another data type over here. That can be over here, that we will discuss later on, like float and double. These are the data type. Over there we can store value in a point. So that's why in the C programming we have to define their data type. What type of data we want to store it over there in the code. So one we have discussed integer. In integer, you can store over here positive and negative value. If the value is negative over there, then also you can store over there. So if you want to store only the positive value, so you can use unsigned. Unsigned mean only the positive value. So you can store value, that is double. Earlier that was 30, that was 32,000. Now you can store 65,000 value. So then after that long, in the long, what you can do, you can store more value over there. So 32-bit data, that is this much value that you can see, positive and negative. So over there you can store in the long, value is high. High value you can store it. Like 1 lakh value you want to store it, you can use long variable data type. Like long mean velocity. If you want to measure the velocity of any aircraft or something like that, so any missile and all that, so you can store in a long. And if you want to measure the distance of sun from the earth, you have to measure it in a long. So you have to store value in that long, so that more value you can store it. It's not like that any value you can store in the velocity. So that we have to define it in the C++ code. So then in unsigned long only the positive value, but in the long you can store positive and negative both value. Unsigned long only the positive value you can store over there, like velocity you can store any other value over there. So that is only the positive value. Then the float. In the float, you can use over there value in a points, in a positive and negative. Both value you can store it like in multiple points that you can see it. 3 point, after that many points that you can see it over here. 32-bit in a points you can store it over here. So like 1.3, so up to 1.9 you can store value over there. If there is two sorry, that is one digit over here and multiple digit at the back side. So that value you can store in a float like number 1.2, 1.3, 1.9, 2.0, 9.9 up to 9.9. When we are going to store 10.0, then the value is being not stored over there. We are going to use double over there. This one is double. When we have to store two digit over here first, then number of floating point. So this one is double. So these are the data type that we are going to use later on in the programming. So that we have to understand over here that how the data type is working. Then after that variable and constant. So variable and constant that we are going to discuss later on in the next class. What is the variable? What are constant? What are the global variable? What are the local variable? So that we are going to use later on, and we are going to do some exercise also in the next class. So today class we are going to sum up it over here. If there is any doubt, you can type your queries in the chat box and you can ask your queries in the chat box. So if there is any doubt, you can type yes in the chat box. If there is no doubt, you can type N in the chat box. Okay. So if there is no doubt, so we are going to sum up this class over here. So thank you. Thank you so much to all the participants. We are going to sum up this session over here. Thank you so much.